Humans have always wanted to keep secrets. From kings and queens to generals on the battlefield, the need to send messages that only the right person can read is very old. This is the world of cryptography, the art of writing and solving codes. Imagine you are a Roman general. You need to send a plan to your troops. But what if the enemy captures your messenger? The enemy could read your plan and defeat you. This problem is why cryptography was born. It is a way to protect information. It turns a clear message into a secret one, so even if it falls into the wrong hands, it remains safe. The first codes were simple. One of the earliest and most famous is the Caesar cipher. Julius Caesar used it over 2,000 years ago. He wanted to send secret military commands. The idea was very clever for its time. He would take each letter of his message and shift it a few places down the alphabet. For example, if he shifted by 3 places, the letter A would become D, the letter B would become E, and so on. This simple substitution made the message look like nonsense to anyone who did not know the secret key, which was the number of places to shift the letters. This method, called a substitution cipher, was a big step. It created a system for hiding information. The strength of the Caesar cipher depended entirely on keeping the key a secret. If the enemy learned the key was 3, they could easily reverse the process. They would just shift each letter back 3 places to reveal the original message. For many centuries, this was a good enough method. Most people could not read or write, so any kind of coded message was very difficult for them to understand. It provided a basic level of security for important communications. But simple ciphers have a weakness. People can look for patterns. For example, in the English language, the letter E is used more than any other letter. If you look at a long coded message and see one symbol appearing very often, that symbol is probably E. This is called frequency analysis. An Arab scholar named Al-Kindi discovered this method around the 9th century. He wrote a book on breaking codes. His discovery showed that even simple substitution ciphers could be broken if the code breaker was smart and patient. This began a long battle between those who make codes and those who break them. As time went on, the simple Caesar cipher was not enough. Code makers needed to create stronger ciphers to defeat the code breakers who used frequency analysis. This led to new and more complex ideas. During the Renaissance in Europe, cryptography became more advanced. People started to use polyalphabetic ciphers. This sounds complicated, but the idea is quite simple. Instead of using just one shifted alphabet, like in the Caesar cipher, a polyalphabetic cipher uses many different alphabets. It makes the code much harder to break because the patterns are hidden. A single letter in the original message could be represented by several different letters in the code. A famous example of this is the Vigenère cipher. It was invented in the 16th century. It uses a keyword to decide which alphabet to use for each letter of the message. For example, if the keyword is secret, you use an alphabet shifted by S for the first letter, an alphabet shifted by E for the second, and so on. When you reach the end of the keyword, you just start it again. This method was so strong that for 300 years, people thought it was unbreakable. It was nicknamed le chiffrage indéchiffrable, which is French for the indecipherable cipher. It was a powerful tool for diplomats and spies. The Vigenère cipher resisted frequency analysis very well. Because the same letter could be coded in different ways, the common letters like E and T did not stand out. A codebreaker could count all the letters in the secret message, but they would not find the usual patterns of the English language. For a long time, this was the peak of cryptography. It seemed like the codemakers had finally won the battle. However, no code is truly unbreakable forever. In the 19th century, a man named Charles Babbage, who is also known as the father of the computer, found a way to break the Vigenère cipher. He figured out how to find the length of the keyword. Babbage's method was a brilliant piece of detective work. He noticed that if you could figure out how long the keyword was, you could split the coded message into smaller parts. For example, if the keyword was 6 letters long, you could take every 6th letter of the secret message. All of those letters would have been coded using the same alphabet shift. You could then use simple frequency analysis on each of these smaller parts to crack the code. Babbage never published his discovery, but another man, Friedrich Kasiski, published the same method a few years later. The unbreakable cipher was finally broken, and the race between codemakers and codebreakers continued. The 20th century brought wars on a global scale, and with them, an urgent need for even more secure cryptography. During World War II, Germany used a machine called Enigma. This was not a simple pen and paper cipher. Enigma was a complex machine with rotors, wires, and a keyboard. It looked a bit like a typewriter. When an operator typed a letter, a series of rotating wheels would scramble it, and a different letter would light up. The machine settings were changed every day, creating a new cipher that was incredibly difficult to break. The Germans believed that their Enigma code was completely secure and that their secret messages were safe. The Enigma machine was a marvel of engineering for its time. Each machine had a set of rotors, which were spinning discs with electrical contacts. The operator would choose 3 rotors from a box of 5 and place them in the machine in a specific order. They would also set each rotor to a starting position. Finally, they would connect pairs of letters using a plug board at the front. The number of possible starting combinations was enormous, running into the trillions. This meant that trying to guess the key by checking every single possibility, known as a brute force attack, was impossible with the technology of that era. The Allies were facing a huge challenge. This is where Alan Turing and the codebreakers at Bletchley Park in England enter the story. Turing was a brilliant mathematician and a true genius. He and his team were given the very difficult task of breaking the Enigma code. They knew they could not check every key by hand. They needed a machine to fight a machine. Turing designed a device called the bomb. This machine was not a computer in the modern sense, but it was an electromechanical device designed to find the daily Enigma settings. It worked by testing many possible rotor settings and looking for logical contradictions in the coded messages. The work at Bletchley Park was top secret, but it was vital to the war effort. By breaking the Enigma codes, the Allies could read Germany's secret communications. They knew where German submarines, called U-boats, were planning to attack. This allowed them to protect their ships and supplies crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Historians believe that breaking the Enigma code shortened the war by at least 2 years and saved millions of lives. Alan Turing's contribution was immense. He not only helped win the war but also laid the foundations for modern computer science. His story shows how important cryptography can be in shaping world events. After World War II, the world entered the computer age. This changed cryptography forever. The complex machines of the war were replaced by even more complex mathematical ideas running on computers. Today, cryptography is not just for spies and generals, it is everywhere in our digital lives. Every time you buy something online with a credit card, send an email, or log in to a website, you are using cryptography. It works silently in the background, protecting your personal information from being stolen by hackers or other bad actors. It creates a digital fortress around our data. The system that protects most of our online activity is called public key cryptography. This was a revolutionary idea developed in the 1970s. Before this, both the sender and the receiver needed to have the same secret key. This created a problem. How do you share the secret key safely in the first place? Public key cryptography solves this by using 2 different keys, a public key and a private key. The public key can be shared with anyone. It is used to lock or encrypt the message. But only the matching private key, which is kept secret, can unlock or decrypt the message. Imagine you want to send a secret message to your friend Alice. Alice has a public key, which she gives to everyone, and a private key, which she keeps completely secret. You use her public key to turn your message into a secret code. Now the message is locked. Even if someone intercepts it, they cannot read it. Only Alice can unlock it using her private key. This system is incredibly powerful because you never have to share a secret key. It allows 2 people who have never met to communicate securely over the internet. This is the magic that makes online banking and e-commerce possible. The story of cryptography is a story of a constant race. As our computers get more powerful, we need to create stronger and more complex codes. The next frontier is quantum computing. A powerful quantum computer could potentially break many of the codes we use today. So, scientists are already working on developing new types of cryptography that are quantum resistant. This ongoing battle between codemakers and codebreakers continues to drive innovation. From Caesar's simple shifts to the complex mathematics protecting our digital world, the quest for secret communication remains as important as ever. It is a fundamental part of our modern society.